Hello, 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 and welcome to Venus Crafty Corner. I have a project for us today, and it is this double library pocket, and we're going to be making this out of leftover file folders. So this is a leftover file folder, and it is a double pocket. Very nice size here. We're talking, this is about 6 by 3.5. And it'll hold some pretty substantial size tags. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get everything out for this, and I'll be back in just a moment to give you a list of stuff that we're going to use. I'll be right back. Okay, some supplies on this one. Liquid adhesive, a circle punch to cut your notch if you want to, a corner rounder if you want that. Some paper for decorating if you want to decorate this. It's a great make-ahead. Some leftover file folders from other projects, and a paper trimmer. Okay, really not a whole lot more here that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to kind of get started with this. And what we want to do is we want to take our file folder where it's folded, and we want to cut a piece that is 6 inches. It's pretty fair to say that that is a good height. So I'm going to line this up, and I'm going to cut this part off. When I save that, because it's good for tags and things. And then I'm going to straighten this edge over here because it's not very straight. So this side looks pretty straight. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my piece here. And I'm going to cut at 3.5. Now, so I have a piece that is 6 by 3.5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one piece of this. Doesn't matter which side, but I'm going to cut one piece from the fold here. We're going to cut in 2.5 inches. Okay, so from here to 2.5 inches. So I'm just going to set that at 2.5 inches. We're going to trim this piece off. We're going to hold on to it because it's going to become our inner pocket. Okay, so that's all of our cutting. I'm going to get rid of the cutting board, and when I come back, we're going to finish putting this together and do all the stuff that we need to do. I'll be right back. All right, so I've gone ahead and cut a second piece because I'm going to do one as a make-ahead and one we're going to put paper on. So what we're going to do is take our inside pocket, make sure we've got it going in the right direction. We're going to bring it out and put it on that small flap, and then we're going to put our notch in here. Now this is going to make sure that our notches are in the same place once we put this together. So we'll do that on both of these. Now it might be a little bit harder on this one because this one is, it's much thicker. This is the vintage folder, and it is much thicker. So I'm going to cut one and then line that up and do the second one. Yeah, that was pretty tough. All right. So now that I have that, in order to put these together, if you're doing this as a make-ahead, that's it. Put a pin so that you have your pieces together and put that in your stash. If you're going to do this and decorate it, our next step is going to be to round corners. Now you can round whatever you want. I'm using the larger one here, which is 10 millimeter. So I'm using that, and that's the only corner I'm going to round is those two up there. I'm not going to round these down here unless you want that aesthetic. Let's do it. Why not, right? We'll round it. Now, we're going to ink. Well, if we're going to round them, let's round them all. We're going to ink. Okay? So we're going to ink this card. We're going to ink all the way around all of this, and then come back, and then we're going to put this together, okay? I'll be right back. All right, so if we're going to be actually, covering this, you would want one mat that's 5 3/4 by 3 1/4, one mat that's 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and one mat that's 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. This 3 1/4 being the width, the other measurement being your up and down. So if you have something like this that's directional. But I have found that if you just cut it so that it comes below, you don't really need to cut that much, so this is great for scraps. So what I'm going to do is I am going to trim this a little bit. And I'm going to cut a piece that is 3 1/4. That's just to help with the width. And then trim off this side. I'm just using some digital pieces here. And let's do this one at 3 1/4. So that's our middle piece. And then we're going to cut some for the rest of this. So I'm just going to trim this part off. And we want this to be 5 3/4 for the larger piece. 5 inches will do it, okay? And that will allow us to get both pieces. So we're going to trim this off and trim this part off. 3 1/4 here. That's our back piece, and then our front piece only needs to be 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. So I'm going to cut this to 3 1/4 and then cut it down to 2 1/4. Okay? All of the measurements, as always, will be in the description box. Just go down there, usually just above where the chapters are. Okay? So I have all 3 of my mats cut. I have my base cut. When I come back, we're going to put these on. So we need to round the corners on all of these so that they fit there. And then go ahead and ink them. And then come back and we'll put the whole thing together. I'll be right back. All right, so now that our mats have been corner rounded and inked, just a quick tip too. If you take these and you lay them on top of each other when you're inking them, you'll give yourself a little bit of a better, more stable base. But we do need this one and this one to be, you know, nipped. So we're going to put them on here. Kind of where we want them to be. And then we're going to go ahead and repunch that little part and re-ink. Okay. So we're just going to re-ink these little notches. That one and this one. There we go. Then we're going to go ahead and start gluing these down. Now, this one goes here, and I've given you 1/4 inch. You can do more or less if you would like. It is entirely up to you. Can these be put on with tape? Yes, they can. If you want to use double-sided tape on this, you certainly could. Because it doesn't really have any weight on it. Come on. Let's get it on there. All right. This one, this piece. Now remember, because this piece is going to be hidden, if you have to cut a smaller piece for this, that's absolutely acceptable. Same thing with the back. It's going to be hidden inside the pocket. So if you're just using scraps, you can get away with using up some scraps with this, okay? Smaller ones. Boop. If I could just hold on to a piece of paper, you know, it would be great. I love when you're actually using the bottle and it goos up. So put this one in here. Just like that. Okay, not perfectly straight, but it's good anyway. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put this piece in. Now this piece has to go in first. And we're only putting glue on the sides. You don't need to put it across the bottom because this is going to be folded and that's not going to have, you know. But you want to bring this up when you put this in. And I'll tell you why. Because if you don't bring this up, you're not going to leave yourself enough clearance here. And you need clearance in order to close this. So make sure that you're putting it down with this flap up. And then we're going to put this one up. Now, this is made out of file folder. And I don't know about you, but my experience with file folder is pretty much like craft paper. It takes a couple of minutes for the glue to actually like do its job. Now, if you want this pocket to be a little higher, you just move it up and glue it up a little higher in the slot, and it'll come up a little bit higher. That's entirely up to you. I would go probably no more than ½ an inch, which would put it about here, but that would give you some nice height and definitely give you the extra definition. Now, I'm going to let you know that the tags that I've currently got in here are about 5 3/8 by 2 3/4 inches wide, and they fit in there with just, you know, a little bit of wiggle room. So you could probably go, I don't know, like 2, what is it, 2.5, 2 3/4. It is 2 3/4. You probably go as far as 3 inches width on these. And then this one is 2.5 by just under 5. And they both fit in there really nice, and they layer well with this dimension. So that's it. That's my quick, you know, you can do it either as a, you know, a make ahead, where you don't have to glue, you know, you don't glue anything together, or you can do this as, you know, for a project. It's entirely up to you. But it's a great little piece to put in your stash and have so that you can make a pocket in your journal or project. Okay? That's it, guys. That's all I have for you today. If you're new here and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit the button. Why not, right? Subscribe. Doesn't hurt. Helps me. If you'd like to get a copy of my absolutely 100% free to you Cyber Stalker Starter Kit, just go down to the description below. Click on the more in the description box, and it's going to give you like the best cyber stalking starter kit you've ever had. It's going to tell you where you can get a link to all my upcoming videos. It's going to tell you where you can reach me via email, Instagram, Facebook. It's all there. Patreon, everything. It's all down there. Go down there and click on the button. But until I see you again, stay well, my friends. I love you guys. Bye-bye.